These mini vending machines will save me so much space and will just make everything look so much better. This is day 4 of me getting rich with Fortnite maps, and today we've worked on these mini vending, which as opposed to traditional vending machines, these save a ton of space and it's super easy to make. So let me show you guys how to make them real quick. All right, so to get started, first thing we're doing is we're going to search for a 12-point star PNG. And this is to get the middle part of the vending machine, which in this case is this spinning thingy. Yeah, just find one you like. This one seems decent, so I'm gonna press Windows key Shift S, which will bring up this screenshot tool. Just drag it like this, and then that'll copy it to your clipboard. Then what you want to do is you want to go to Photopea, which is basically an online Photoshop that's completely free to use. We're gonna go in here, and all right, let's start a new project. We're gonna do 512 by 512 here. All right, then we want to create that. Okay, now I got to do is press Control V, which you should already have the thing in your clipboard selected, and allow this to clip, and that should pop up here. So once you've copied that, just go and select your layer here. It should appear here in the right side. Click on where it says Transform Controls. It's going to bring up this Transform widget here. Hold Alt and just drag this until this more or less fills the entirety of your screen. Then I'm just going to kind of reposition it like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here and then right click anywhere, click on remove background, and that should remove the background. If we hide this, you can see that now makes this a transparent PNG. So what I can do now is I can just go into File, Export as a PNG file, and just save that somewhere in your... So back in UEFN, I'm just going to go into my source folder here. I'm going to create a new folder called Vending Machine just to keep things organized. We're going to go in here and then we're going to import our image that we do here and import our image into here like that. Now let's go here and let's create a new material. I'm going to call this m_vending machine. Vending machine. Okay, once in here, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our little vending machine thing here. I'm going to select leave the material domain as surface. The blend mode is going to be masked, and then the shading model can be on the, because I don't want any of the shadows hitting my little thingy here. So then we can just press control spacebar, drag this like this, and we can just connect that here. And you can see already that we have this. Now we're gonna have these jagged lines, which is super annoying. And then this also is not completely white. This is black and white. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take the alpha node here instead of the RGB node, put that there. And now everything is completely white, just like that. Cool. Now to make this spin, all we have to do is just right click anywhere and search for a rotator node. That's going to bring that. We can just then plug this into the UVs channel, and that should already be spinning, as you can see here. But you can see here that they're kind of clones of the same image. That's because by default, images or textures will try to wrap around if they exceed their bounds. So what you can do here is you can just go into the sampler mode, sampler source, and click that, make that clamp. Like that, and you can literally just change the time here. So make this -0.5. All right, next one we'll do is I'm going to color this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a radial gradient exponential node. This is basically just a circle that increases, that starts at 1 and then goes all the way to 0 in this gradient sort of fashion, which will help us with our coloring here. So let me start previewing that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab 2 vector 3s, which are going to serve as my colors. You can just hold 3 and then left click, which will create one of these vector 3s. This one I'm going to create into a parameter, which is going to be the color 1. And then same with this one, which is going to be my color 2. By default, I'm going to make this something like green just to kind of showcase. And this one's going to be our dark green, just show that. And then we can grab a lerp node here, which is a linear interpolate node here. That'll grab that, plug this one into here, plug this one into here, and then the alpha value goes into here. Now if we plug this into our emissive node, you'll notice we have this nice little gradient here. Although I kind of want this one to be on the outskirts. We want it to be brighter in the center and then darker as it goes outside. So you can just switch around the positions here, and now we have this nice little gradient thing. But this is too centered for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold 1 and left click. This is going to create a scalar parameter, which I can plug into the radius value here. And I'm going to set this to something like 0.7 Yeah, I think it's good, right? You can see here this is pretty bright, and then only the corners it kind of gets darker. Now to get the star showing here in the middle, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this and get another multiply node going on here. We can then grab the alpha value and press that into the B value, and if we put that into the alpha node of this linear interpolate node, you'll notice that now the star is showing, but our gradient is kind of inverted. You can see here that the center is the bright part, but then the background just kind of loses the radial gradient. All we have to do here is just kind of bring this back here, and for the alpha node, search for a 1 minus node, which will basically invert the values here. Black will become white, and white will become black. And then we can plug this into the multiply node. There you go. The center is now the dark part, and we preserve the gradient around here, which we had previously. So this is already looking good. If we go back here and get a simple plane, and then we apply our vending machine material, you can see this is already looking pretty decent. And if you want, you can keep it that way. But one thing that the normal vending machines have, so you notice that the vending machines kind of have these little stripe thingies on my stripe. So what I'm gonna do is I could go back and search for a stripe material or a stripe image, but I'm actually just gonna make them with materials, which is relatively straightforward here. To get some stripes going on here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click somewhere here and search for a coordinate. We wanna find this texture coordinate node. Press that. This is basically just a thing that goes from 0 to 1, where this is 0, this is 1, this is 0, and then this is 1. This would be 1, 1. So let's grab mask the node here, and if we mask the G channel here and we start previewing this, you'll notice that we have this nice gradient going from 0 all the way to 1. Okay, what we can do with that is we can drag this into a sine node here, and if we preview this, all this does is create a black bar and a black line. If we want to create more lines, all we have to do is click on the sine node and change the period to something like 0.1. And you'll notice that that creates a ton of more lines, which is super cool. But this is not enough lines. These are too thick for my liking, so I'm just going to make the period something like 0. Now, one thing you'll notice is that technically some of these lines, they still have that grading kind of fading effect from white to black. So to fix that, all we can do is just drag this here and grab a step node here and plug this into the X value and then make this something like 0.8. What the step node does is anything that's above this value here will automatically be set to 1. Anything below that will be set to 0. In this case, this basically makes our lines completely straight. And to better visualize this, we can make this 0.5. Right, you can see here that there's still this kind of fading effect going on here with just a normal sine node. But if we preview the step node, then these edges become completely clean. Now this is now the disparity here is a bit weird. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this to something like 0.2, and that creates these nice edges. All I have to do that really is add these stripes together with this star material. So just drag this, get an add node going on here, plug this into here, plug this into here, and then plug this into the emissive color. And you notice that now we have this weird kind of effect because this still has the white values, and that's kind of messing with that's bringing the shade up. So to solve that, what we can do is before this add a node, we can just drag this, get another multiply node here, and basically multiply this by something like 0.2. 0.05. You can see we still have those little stripes in the background, and if we apply that, that is looking pretty legit. I mean, at this point, you can see here that basically we have a really good solid copy of this. And now to actually add the item in here, all you need to do is get an item placer, drag that there, and we're just going to search up for whatever weapon we want. In this case, the flintlock level 2, and then what we can do is we can go down here and into the visual style, change that into the icon, and then just kind of turn this here, and I am going to disable the rarity effects because I don't like how they look. Boom, mini vending machine that we've just created. And if you want to make them for all rarities, we can just, for example, copy this, go to where we have our material here, we go here, and just right click and create a material instance. I'm going to call this mi or vending machine blue. And because remember we exposed the color values as parameters, we can basically just change the colors here. Okay, and I think that looks more or less legit. I mean, I'm not gonna find it. I'm not trying to go for perfection here, but anyway, that's it for today's video. I've added all the weapons here, as you can see, for every single weapon category. I still need to add the collectibles, and I also made these kind of walls that make this arc shape. And this is what our map is looking at. So anyway, that's it for today's video, and as always, thanks for watching, and yeah, take care, guys.